Hi everyone. I'm going to walk you through parts 3 and 4 of the Family Partnership Plan, which has been our semester-long project this semester in 241. And so you will see in our, under content, there's a module called Family Partnership Plan, semester-long project. And when you click on that, we do have the templates in there. And what you can do, I think I might need to upload a Word document for you to be able to type on this yourself if you wanted to use the template, or if you have issues with that with your computer, please feel free to go ahead and just duplicate it in a Word document. So what you're going to do is you're going to base your family partnership plan on the other parts of the project. So you've already done the interviews and you've already done your scoring. So what you're going to do is take the information from that and create a family partnership plan. And there are multiple things you can do. And we have some common ones like, a family parent night, where parents come to learn about the curriculum and actually partake in the materials and the books and such, or you can have a parenting class to help parents learn something, all kinds of things. So you can be as creative as you like on that. But you're going to want to create this plan or this event based on what you learned in the interview and how the center scored on the rating scale. So if the rating scale and in your rationale box of the rating scale you put, this center did not do well because it didn't have enough forms of communication, or this center lost points because they don't hold conferences, or this center lost points because they don't use bilingual languages or the languages of families in the center. Whatever you learned about this center, that's where you're going to have to create a plan to strengthen that partnership. Okay? So you're going to have to come up with your event or your plan or whatever you're going to do, and then you're going to use this template to take you through that process. So you will start with, let's see here, keeps wanting to bounce back. So those were the questions, the interview questions. Okay, so you're going to start with the demographics summary, which is when you asked the director, the principal, this question, right? What's your population at your center? So you're going to put that right in here. And you were needing to be pretty specific on this if you recall. So 80% Caucasian, 10% Hispanic, 1% Asian, whatever the case may be. And you can say, and you should say also, low economic status, high economic group, what's your population of special needs, and does this center serve the Colorado Preschool Program? That's your demographic survey. So you'll just type that in here. That's all you'll do is type that. And you can even take these out, erase that, and then put in your answers right under there. Or like I said, you could put it on a Word document, say demographic summary, and then just type it in from there. That's totally fine. So then your purpose and objective is using the results of your interview and your rating scale and your demographic information, justify the basis for choosing this topic for your family partnership plan. I am putting together this partnership plan because my center or this center needs assistance or needs strengthening in the following area, in whatever area that might have been. So you'll want to refer back to that rating scale to see what the center does well and what the center doesn't do so well. Perhaps they have a a non-existent orientation program where they don't even ask the families about their backgrounds and their cultures and stuff. So then you'll create that, right? You're going to create maybe a back-to-school night that really focuses on finding out, learning about your families, okay? So that's just an example. You can use whatever you want. And then down here, you're going to focus on vocabulary that you're going to stress, and that's going to be, you know, specific to your plan, to your event, or whatever you're creating. So it says here, identify possible key vocabulary words that you may want to introduce or emphasize for families throughout this plan. And that could just be things like, we're going to talk about what ethnicity is versus culture, and what those are versus race, if that's the type of things that you're focusing on. Or maybe you're doing it on communication, so you're going to introduce, you know, software such as Tadpoles, or I think there's one called Precious Child. You know, whatever new words, new terms that families would not be aware of, you're going to list that in your vocabulary. Then you're going to put in the materials you need, the equipment you need, where you're going to do this. So if you're having a family night, you may say we're going to do it in the cafeteria. I'm going to need a screen. I'm going to need a projector, PowerPoints. We're going to have snacks. We're going to have a guest speaker. Whatever you need in order to accomplish your event or your plan. So then you're going to activate prior knowledge for families. And if we stick with lack of communication, then you'd want to ask families, you know, have you ever felt left out in the center? Have you ever felt like you didn't know what was going on in the center? Or did you ever miss a field trip because you didn't get the communication that we're having a field trip that day? So you want to bring in that prior feelings that families might have been feeling, right? And then you're going to introduce it. You're going to go from that prior knowledge, and you're going to introduce it by saying, so tonight we're going to talk about how we can improve upon that, and we're going to talk about this new system we've put in our center that's going to help you, because we want you to feel part of our family here. We want you to feel valued. We want you to feel included, all those things, okay? And then you're going to say step by step what your procedure is. We're going to start with PowerPoint on whatever topic it is. We're going to have an open roundtable discussion. We're going to do activities, and if you do activities, be very specific about the activities that you're doing. Don't just say, you know, introduction, discussion, activities. Actually tell me what you're going to be doing. And if it's not an event, if it's a plan, same thing, right? I'm going to discuss with the director the need. I'm going to draft a plan for conferences. I'm going to put out a schedule. I'm going to put it on the calendar. Whatever, be very specific on that, right? And then how will you conclude this plan? If it's something face-to-face, like a family night or a parent information night, then you could maybe conclude by saying, you know, what's your feedback? How did this go for you? You know, ask some questions to make sure that they're actually understanding what this plan is. You know, how are you going to conclude it? Maybe you'll include it with a fun video, a game. Everybody gets together, holds hands, and sings a song. How are you going to end your plan? If it's not a face-to-face type of thing, interactive, if it's something that you plan on paper, you know, just keep going back to communication or conferences, then maybe you could close it by putting out a survey to see if it was helpful, maybe collecting data to see if people came at all to the conferences, those types of things. So how are you going to end this project, this plan of yours, right? And then how will you determine what the families have learned or how they benefited from this? And for your face-to-face things, you could say, I'm just going to simply have a Q&A at the end, and I'm going to give a quiz. You might not want to call it quiz, but I'm going to test them somehow to see if they understood the information, or if it's, and you'll need 2 or 3 ways to assess, or like I said before, if it's a plan of some sort that's not an event, then you're going to have other ways to assess. Were families friendlier? Were you able to converse with them better? Were they more open to approaching you? Yes, the survey. We sent out a survey to see how it's going. So you're going to have to reflect on if what you did was beneficial. Now, since you do not have to actually do these can be hypothetical and just put on this template and in your mind. If you can do it, that would be fabulous, but you're not required to do it. So you'll have to think in terms of hypotheticals, and you won't have to say how it really went because you probably aren't really going to do this. But like I said, if you can, please do. I mean, anytime we reach out to families and partner with them and bring them in the center or meet them out in the community, wonderful things happen. Wonderful things happen for them, for you, for the entire center, and ultimately for the kids. So really embrace this idea of, hey, we have something that could be stronger, and I'm going to come up with a way to make it stronger. Okay? So then that's part 3. Part 4 is you're going to create an evaluation form, and that's to get family feedback about the plan. Now, once again, this is just going to be blank because unless you do it, but it will probably be blank, and you can decide how you want to create that. Generally, like when we go to trainings or events and we get evaluation forms, they're usually like, how valuable was this, event for you? And it'll say number 1, not very, number 2, a little, number 3, kind of, whatever, all the way up to 5, which would be, yeah, it was great, right? You can do that type of they're called Likert scales. You can go to Google Images, and they have all kinds of forms and templates for you to look at. Or you can just ask questions. At the top of the evaluation form, you can say, what did you learn? Did you find it valuable? Yes or no? Yes or no questions. Please tell us how we can do better next time. However you want to do it. So, but you're going to create it from scratch, and the questions have to go along with your plan. So don't just pull one off, Google that has to do with, some meeting about some corporate business or something. Make sure that your questions refer back to your plan. Okay, so I'm hoping that was helpful. And I did have a sample one under a content area that's just very brief, that gives you some ideas. And I think it was on Charlie's Preschool, but that's very, very brief. If you look at that one, please go much more into depth on your own, and of course refer it back to your interview and your rating scale, and then fill out the template here, answer each question, and then remember that the rubric is in the content area as well, and I will have to grade that specifically to that rubric, as this is the NAEYC Key Assessment I talked about in the last screencast that I provided for you. So please look at the rubric and make sure, that's not the right rubric, and make sure to follow it exactly. Okay, so when you go back into our course, check out the Family Partnership Plan module under Content. And I only have 7 seconds because I only get 15 minutes to record. So I hope this was helpful. Thanks, bye.